It happens sometimes. You play a really magnificent game and wonder how your hands didn't reach it before. You are amazed by its interesting mechanics, dynamic gameplay, and thoughtful world. But here, this game makes a fiend with its ears and slips you the very level that has become a stumbling block for most players. A level that can spoil the whole impression of the game. Sometimes he mocks you, forcing to go through the same moment over and over again. He can differ in his concept from the whole game as a whole, which just infuriates with its inappropriateness. Everyone hates this level. It seems that it would be better if it were not here at all. And today I decided to recall 5 just such terrible levels in excellent video games. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and be sure to tell me in the comments which level in which game made you angry. Well, we are starting. Kingdom of Hades from God of War. The first God of War had a huge impact on the action-adventure genre as a whole and became one of its best representatives. The game was remembered for its cruelty, dynamic combat, and even the introduction of QTE. Yeah, this is his merit. Subsequently, without any changes, the gameplay moved to other parts of this great series, and many, sometimes even successful God of War clones appeared. But be that as it may, there was still a level in the game that managed to piss on the most of the players, which is quite ironic, because this is local hell. According to the plot, Ares kills Kratos, and he falls into the Kingdom of Hades, but he didn't take into account the fact that it is not so easy to get rid of future God of War. He will definitely get out of there and take revenge on him. If the developers had a task to make hell really hellish, then they overfilled it. But no one asked to make this level so difficult. It all starts with uncomfortable platforming, to which spinning logs with blades are added, which strive to throw Kratos into the abyss. You will often have to walk along them in the opposite direction, thereby not seeing the blades in front of you, which makes this element even more difficult. And especially polite infernal creatures will not miss the opportunity to try throw the player off these stupid platforms. But who would have thought that the main obstacle in the way of Kratos would not be these traps, not even henchmen of Hades, but some spinning pillars? That is why one should truly fear death. Even a smooth wall would be easier to climb than this pillar. As soon as you catch the rhythm, it immediately changes the direction of rotation. One has truly hesitated a little, and Kratos inexplicably touches one of the blades and falls to the very bottom.
No! No!
This section is finished off by inconvenient controls. Just imagine what it was like at this place for players placing the game on the console. Sooner or later, fate will take pity on the player and allow him to go further.
F you assholes! F you in the ass! Gotta do it!
As he will immediately notice another similar column a couple of meters away from him, but only more difficult.
If I could just see a little bit further up. Oh, what the f? I didn't even touch it!
It was necessary to make fun of the players on purpose and almost just before the final.
On the first try, motherfuckers! You shit and die! Oh man.
That is why the Kingdom of Hades from God of War takes pride of place in this compilation. Challenge from the Witness. The Witness is a recognized masterpiece from the world of indie games. This is a very pleasant puzzle game without a clear plot. All puzzles are located in the game from the most primitive to quite complex, which is accompanied by a smooth introduction of new mechanics, if them can be called that of course. The solution to some tasks are sometimes so unexpected, but at the same time logical, that they are simply brilliant. But sometimes the complexity of puzzles does not depend on the idea at all, but on their implementation. And here, in one place, game developer Jonathan Blow went too far. And now we will talk about the whole block of puzzles, which is called a challenge. Because, by its decision, the player is given a corresponding achievement. The essence of this level is to, by turning on the gramophone to the compositions of Edward Grieg, Dance of Anitra and In the Cave of Mountain King, have time to solve all the allotted puzzles. If the music ends, then you lose and you have to start all over from the beginning. But the whole point lies in the fact that new puzzles are generated every time. You might get lucky and the easy ones will fall out, or maybe vice versa, something very difficult will fall out. Moreover, not all of the proposed puzzles can be solved at all. In Section 4, the players offer 2 sets of 3 monitors, but only on one of the 3 the task is solvable. So you can waste time solving obviously impossible puzzles. And the music here plays exactly 6 minutes and 34 seconds, which exactly is enough with a quick passage. Of course, classical music picks up at the end and just screams that you have very little time left. How can you concentrate on solving puzzles that you still need to memorize? On one of the monitors, the solution to the puzzle will repeat the only correct path through a randomly generated maze that will appear towards the end, and of course you will have to remember this puzzle. And then you will need to solve 2 difficult puzzles on the pillars at once, and only after all this hell will you be able to get the long-awaited challenge achievement. It is forbidden in a game about puzzles. You can't artificially increase the complexity of them through implementation and create similar levels. The only good thing is that it is not mandatory for completing the game, about which the witness, of course, does not warn out, but in any case, it was this level that prevented someone from getting platinum. Frigid Outskirts from Dark Souls 2. The Dark Souls series is deeply rooted in the video game industry. The release of any even slightly difficult game is always accompanied by its comparison with Dark Souls, which have become the standard of hardcore in its genre. The second part came out not quite the same as the rest, and therefore some consider it as the worst, while others, on the contrary, the best part in the series. But be that as it may, Dark Souls 2 has become a worthy continuation of the series. In all Souls games, there have been levels that stand out strongly for their difficulty and editability, but the apogee of pain in Dark Souls 2 was a location called the Frigid Outskirts on the Crown of Ivory King expansion. This location can be easily missed and not even noticed, but for the passage of the add-on, it is by itself required. The first thing a player sees when he enters the Frigid Outskirts is he does not see a damn thing due to the constant snowstorm. Even your character is not normally visible. Get ready, because this is how you will spend the next few hours in Dark Souls 2. Only occasionally the storm subsides for 5 seconds, and your gaze opens up to the most empty location, where there are only lonely standing ruins. Correctly, if the player doesn't see a damn thing, then you can score on filling the location. I'm playing the Antarctica Simulator or Dark Souls 2. So that you don't forget where you are, the game will throw you extremely annoying stallions. They appear suddenly and hit painfully, but if you adapt, then it will not be much work. At least as long as they fight alone. But don't forget about the terrible visibility, because of which you can easily fall off the cliff, and if you die in this location, then spawn at the entrance to it, and you will have to wander in the void once again. There are no bonfires on this level, not even in front of the boss, and so you can't save anywhere. But you didn't think that at least the bosses, who are the pets of the king, Lud and Zalen, will take pity on you here. Alone, they are not so strong. But together, they will once again prove to you that you are in a real icy hell. Therefore, the hatred of the players for this location is absolutely justified. We still have 2 terrible levels ahead of us, but first I would like to say that judging by my latest videos, YouTube is extremely weakly promote my channel. And only you can help here. You like and subscribing is the best motivation to create new videos. And if you want to support me also financially, for special bans of course, then I will leave a link to my Patreon account in the description. Well, now we continue. Helicopter from GTA Vice City. Agree, when you came to this video, you expected to see here a truly legendary mission with a helicopter from GTA Vice City, and I just couldn't live up to your expectations. The GTA series, especially since Part 3, has made a huge sensation in the entire gaming industry, and I think that there is absolutely no need to tell you about its success. In fact, there were quite a lot of suddenly difficult quests, on which a huge number of players were stuck, from this part of the series, as well as from any other. It's just that the mission with the helicopter meets almost at the very beginning, and didn't reach it only the laziest. As a child, this level seemed simply unimaginably difficult. Of course, the strange inverted control of air transport through the numpad is that kind of torture. Add to this the timer, which puts pressure on the nerves so much, and even without it, it's a hassle. Now, this mission is completed in a snap, and all because its complexity directly depends on the number of FPS. The larger it is, the faster vehicles and people move in the game. Therefore, on modern devices with a lock of 60 frames per second, it is much easier to control a helicopter than on older PCs that didn't have such performance. Because of this mission, a whole bunch of players simply abandoned the passage of this great game and did not even properly taste it. And this is not even the most difficult level in the game, it's just that not so many people learned about the rest, which, even is planned, was supposed to throw challenge to the player. But nevertheless, this horrible helicopter has already gone down in history forever. Source from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was unlucky at the development stage, where it ended up in production hell, and it came out buggy and frankly unfinished, which in other respects did not prevent the game from becoming one of the best RPGs of all time. Fans are still finishing its technical part to this day, but the dialogues and the plot were spelled out amazingly from the very beginning. Replay value, flexible leveling system and freedom of action simply cannot but amaze. The game has become truly cult, which is why, after so many years, its continuation was announced. But as you understand, not everything was perfect in the game. At one point, the player will need to get to the Nosferatu lair, and this can only be done through the servers, and of course, nothing else. Even in words, the idea of a level in servers sounds as terrible as possible. I can't remember of a single game where it was implemented normally. In a game about playing a character, the player is offered an hour or even more to wander around the most monotonous server corridors, where there is no one to chat at all. The only thing that the developers did not regret here is a whole bunch of monsters. If you thought that the game could be completed solely with the help of dialogues and poured all the pumping points into eloquence, then this level will make you suffer. The combat in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was rather clumsy and heavily dependent on leveling, which made it not much fun, especially when your enemies are monsters like this straight out of nightmares. If you played this level as a child, given that the game was released in 2004, it could easily become quite scary for you. The developers seem to have intentionally shoved these huge creatures around the corner, so that they scare the player with their sharp appearance. To get out of here, you have to find the keycard, which is lying around some corpse. And if you missed it, then be kind enough to turn around and look for it again. In these corridors, which are more like a maze. The game would have been much better without this overly long and extremely boring level. That is why, in an official patch, was introduced the possibility of almost completely skipping this misunderstanding. Well, for today, it was all terrible levels from completely different but excellent games. I put a lot of effort and time into creating this video, and I would like to understand that my work was not in vain and you liked the video. Therefore, the main thing you can do is to subscribe to my channel and like it, because it's not difficult at all. For those who want to see my videos before the rest, I will leave a link in the description to my Patreon, where I also tell what I am working on at the moment. Thanks to all, and good luck to you to avoid such terrible levels.